Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my photo chat live stream where we talk about photography. And as always, I like the community to drive the conversation. So if you have anything you want to talk about or you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them or address any topics you want to talk about. And gosh, I just walked in the door like 10 minutes ago. I went out for a photo walk this morning and uh, you know, I found somebody's cell phone, you know, like just sitting on a table out in the woods. So I was able to reach them because their ID was on the phone, and that's kind of what set me back a little bit. I meant to get back here a little sooner, but they came out and they picked up their phone, which was good. Uh, that said, this morning I caught some whatchamacallits, some osprey, some goldfinches, some swallows, lots of little birds. The bald eagle was out there, but it was a little bit too far away, and I didn't have that much time, and so I haven't even put them on my computer yet. They're still on my memory card here, but I'll try and post those up onto my Instagram and Flickr after the stream. But I did take a lot of pictures because, I took last week off for Easter. And so I have a lot of photos. I've been going out, because of springtime. It's beautiful, right? We have flowers coming and the birds and all the animals are pairing up, for the springtime. So that's good. But anyhow, let me check in on who's here in the chat section. And let's see. John Follows, good to see you. Darko, this side towards screen, good morning. And Tom, good morning. Darko says, I got out and shot street photography yesterday with the Z7 and the 85-1.8. Funny how the lens gave me a different perspective than my usual 24 wide. Yeah, absolutely. 85 is not a bad way to go if you're going to be doing street, because a lot of times you can't get close to people. And it gives you a very different perspective. And Darko says, have you ever shot 85 full frame for events or street? Not really. I used to do portraits on my D750 with the 85-1.8. And, but that was about it. Usually when I did street, I was out with like the 28 or the 35. Darko says, the main thing is getting used to standing further back, but also if you're close to your subject, getting frames that fill the whole area. That was not normal for me. It's good practice, right, to get out there. I prefer filling the frame with my subject. Generally speaking, that's the easiest composition, right? Fill the frame and you get to see all the fine details. But street photography is a little different. I like a wider field. So I can include, the environment. So I like to do more environmental type street photography where I can see all the architecture, the people in the area, and all the little things that might be around there. I always like photos that have lots of information for the viewer to look at when they look at a picture, and just see all the little interesting things so your eyes kind of go everywhere. Of course, you got to compose it so that you lead the viewer around the scene. But like I said, I really like information in my photos. We'll post a few on the community page. Okay, cool. I'll look forward to that. And Anthony, good to see you. And Jim, good morning. And good morning, Dan, Serge, Jeff. Wow, a lot of people here. That's awesome. And let's see. Let me scroll up here. Jeffrey McFeeder says, raining steadily here in the East Central Kansas. Gardens love it. Yes. April showers, as they say, right? And greetings, Marcia. Good to see you. And if you did a TED Talk, what would your photography subject be? I have no idea. I'm sort of a jack of all trades type, right? I don't have any specific focus. I have been asked to speak at an event, and I'm going to go over photo editing and black and white photography. So I guess that would be it for now. But I have a few months to prep for it, so I'll put something together. But yeah, I think photo editing and black and white, those are good topics if I did a TED Talk. And these days, exploring with the OM 50-200 2.8 to see how it does. A friend wants to switch from Nikon to Micro Four Thirds and wants to buy one of the OM1 bodies and a 40-150 2.8 and a 100-400. That would be a really good starting point. Yeah, that's a good budget way to get in, because if you were talking about the OM1 Mark I, I've seen them for like under $1,000 refurbished on eBay. So it was $899, and then you can get the 100-400 refurb for like $1,000, and then the 40-150 for another $1,000. So you're talking about, for less than $3,000, you got a really awesome kit for that'll do just about everything. The only thing you'd have to add is either a 14-42 kit lens or a 12-45 f4 Pro, and you have everything you need to do everything, right? Other than some very specialty things like, macro and, wide angle fisheye. And get a flash. The Godox, I think it's the V480. That's a really good flash to complement the system. And good morning, Robert. Good to see you. And ATR Bear, good morning. And Paul says, hi, Rob. All back in the UK and 2-week tour of the US and Canada. Highlight was the, oh, that's right. Yeah, Paul, we went a couple of weeks ago. I'll share that picture if it's okay of us out in the field. Actually, I already did on my community page. But I'll share some pictures we took in that photo walk too. Not to be funny, but let's make sure audio and video are confirmed. Oh, thank you. Yeah, everything looks good on my end. And Anthony said there were talks of OM System introducing a new Pro 50-250 f4 IS. Haven't heard any use of it lately. Well, I guess the intent of that lens would be to be more compact and more affordable than the 50-200 f2.8, right? Not too dissimilar from the 40-150 f4, is much smaller than the 40-150 f2.8. So I think it'll be a nice alternative for those that use that focal range. And yep, had a chance to meet. That was really cool. And I finally make the jump and bought the Mzuiko 300 f4 for 1,550 euros secondhand. Very good deal. Very good. I will use it with my teleconverter MC14 and sell my, yep, no problem there with that. When I was buying my telephoto lens, of course the 75-300 is kind of a must-have, but your serious telephoto lens, you have the 100-400, and you have the 300 f4, the 150-600. At the time, the 150-600 wasn't out when I was shopping. And I tried both, 300, and I tried the 100-400, and ultimately I ended up with the 300 f4 and a teleconverter 1.4. And I find I'm very, very happy with that, and I don't miss zooming really at all. There's very few times when I need to zoom. Usually the birds, I use it for birding, are so far out, a lot of times even with all that reach, it's not enough. So I think you're gonna love it. That's what I shot with this morning. Let me crank up my bridge. Maybe I can show a few from this morning. I'm just gonna import the photos while we're chatting. Okay, hopefully it doesn't crash the stream. If it does, I'll try and get back on. And Anthony says, I want to see OM Systems introduce OM3 Monochrome. I think it felt better than the IR and Astro cameras that recently been announced by OM Systems. It would certainly be more, I think it would be a bigger audience, because Astro and infrared are very, very niche. But I think a lot more people like black and white by far. And I think why they chose the other two before doing an actual dedicated monochrome is because the OM3 has that creative wheel on the front, which has a mono setting. And a lot of the features in the OM3 are geared towards all the creative things on that dial. So, you know, all of the R filters, all of the settings for monochrome. So I don't think they felt like there was a need to make the monochrome right away, right? Because there's already really good monochrome settings in the OM3 as it is. That said, a dedicated monochrome camera I think would do well. You know, I would certainly buy one because I really love my Pentax monochrome. And I wanted to take it out this morning, but I decided to take out my DF, you know, as a second camera, just to try to capture a few shots. What kind of inspired me was the Artemis that went out. They shot with the Nikon D5 and a Nikon Z9, and I saw I have a Nikon, so I just said, let me take out my Nikon today. But I shot mostly with the OM3 and the 300 f4 with the teleconverter. And good morning from Southern Indiana. Good morning, David. Good to see you. And Darko says, man, sorry. If I had a chance to meet the Trexer, I'd be, I appreciate that. And Darko says, in my opinion, I keep saying this, he is a treasure to the photog YouTube world. Real as they come. Thanks, Mr. Trek, for what you bring this Sunday. Oh, thank you, Darko. You know, I enjoy it too, and I get a lot out of it being online as well. So it's a two-way street there. It's mutually beneficial, and I'm mutually honored and privileged that I have so many viewers that come see me every week. Let's see. Rob's still on a walk with Ellie. Yeah, I wanted to take her, but she scares the birds away. Actually, you might even hear her barking right now. Oh, Rob's here. Hey, Robert, good to see you. Autumn's, yeah, you guys have opposite seasons, right? So our spring is your fall. And Bombastic says, hi all, and hi Rob. Just got the OMD M10 recently, and your videos have been so helpful. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, they're old, right? They're probably 7 years old right now, or 8. But it is an 8-year-old camera, so, well, it's probably 10 plus years now. Cropping in camera is really important, I think. Yes. So basically, you know, get the lens that meets the focal length or the field of view that you want to capture. So if you want to fill the frame with a bird, you know, you need a super telephoto. Don't go out there with a fisheye lens and try and crop in. And this side towards screen says, I heard an interview with some Pentax reps that Pentax will be sticking with DSLR format as a niche market segment, and they understand they are not in competition with other brands. Yeah, that's just sort of repeating what they said many years ago. They feel like the DSLR has a place, and that's where they want to be. And I don't disagree with that. If that's what they want to do as a company, I'm happy that somebody's still making new DSLRs. Of course, new for Pentax is really just repackaging. I mean, they'll make a camera and then make it again 10 years later, and it's almost exactly the same. But the good thing is you don't have to buy a 10-year-old camera. You can buy a new one. And 10-year-old cameras work great. I mean, like I said, the Artemis, they took out the Nikon D5. That thing is like 10 years old. Had me shopping for one yesterday when I heard that. I was like, ooh, I wonder what they go for now. Because I have lenses for the F mount, you know, because of my DF. And let's see. I read that one of the original group that started OM System has acquired controlling interest. The article stated this was a good thing as he now has a huge financial stake in seeing new products. Okay. Interesting. I hadn't seen that article. I saw an article about the CEO is 51% owner now. But I don't know if this is related to that. And Rob says, I bet the Nikon D5 is popular now after the moon. I bet, right? Watch the used prices on that skyrocket. I checked them this morning. One in like excellent condition is about $1,600. I was like, that's a bit much, you know, for something that I would use maybe just a couple of times a year. And let's see. Lee Hoy talked about the Photo Pro X Rotator 75 horizontal to vertical accessory might be worth looking at. Pretty reasonable price. Let me look at that. Photo Pro. Oh, okay, this thing. So I think this is what you're talking about, right? Is this. I have a similar one of these, and I kind of got mixed feelings about it. I bought a couple of them because I thought I'd use it a lot, and I did use it initially quite a bit in my studio, where I would have the camera on the tripod, and you know, I wanted to change the orientation from vertical to, you know, horizontal quickly without moving the camera. You know, the point, the center of the camera stays the same, right? And it was great while I was using it for that purpose, but I'm trying to think in the field. I've never taken it with me out in the field. I was quite content with the composition that I wanted. You know, I would know what composition I'm going to do because typically I would do it for panoramas, right? Where, you know, sometimes I can just leave it in portrait mode and do 3 shots, and sometimes I would rotate it and do verticals and do a lot more shots. And in practice, because the timeline, meaning the workflow is not, you're not like in a hurry, right? When you're doing landscapes typically. And, you know, I don't see a need to quickly switch from vertical to horizontal when I'm out in the field if I'm going to be doing panoramas. And that'd be the only reason I do that. You know, it's fine. You know, I just have the camera on an L bracket, or I just rotate the camera. But yeah, I'll just put the camera on an L bracket, mount it properly, and it's very secure. And then I would do my panorama. So, you know, that this kind of device is really good if you need to switch quickly between horizontal and portrait, or you know, portrait and landscape mode. But I think, and it's good in a studio where your camera is fixed on a tripod or mounted somewhere. But I never used it out in the field because I didn't have a need to quickly switch between the two modes, and rarely, you know, yeah. So I don't use it much. I use it mainly in my studio, and even then, not that often. But I would use it like for a portrait session where I want to switch between headshots and full body shots, things like that. Or if it's not a headshot, between, you know, headshots and group photos, right? I can rotate back and forth to maximize the composition. Okay, but $50 is, you know, $49 is a pretty good price. And have you tried the OM red dot? I'm having terrible time trying to get target moving birds with the 300 millimeter. Yeah, I've tried it. Uh, I just I I I didn't like it generally. I found that, like I went out this morning and I find that, I can use the hot shoe and line it up with the top of the lens here if I need to quickly, so I would be looking like this over, and then I can bring my eye down like this. Now the eye dot is kind of the same idea, but I don't know. I didn't like the extra bulk that it put on top of the camera. Uh, so I never use it. I know some people really like it, but I didn't care for it. I get just as good a result almost doing it that way. But I might have to try it again. I got one around here somewhere. I just never use it. And Jeffrey says, Rob, I told her to keep her Nikon 14 to 24-28 and learn the OM for her wildlife and nature work. Separately, maybe around 2,800 total, but together 2,500 is a good deal. Yes. 2,500 would be awesome because I spent almost that much on the OM1 because I bought it new, you know? Um, and here we are 4 years later, and you can get a whole kit because I bought my 300 f4 brand new and I bought my OM1 brand new. No regrets though, because I've been using it for 4 years, right? And it's been flawless. It's killing me that it's selling for $899 right now, but that's typical of flagship cameras, right? As soon as the new one comes out, the old one just crashes in price because those are usually a lot of professionals use those, and they just dump them and get new ones for their business. It's the little entry level compact cameras that are hard to find and get expensive, right? And Roger says, while you're talking about monochrome, are the art filter modes of the Olympus available on the PL9 or only on the OM workspace? Yeah, only for workspace. Well, the general art filter modes. So while you're talking about monochrome, are the art filter modes of Olympus available? Yeah. So the PL9 has, I believe it does have the regular art filters like pop art filter, grainy black and white, vintage 1, 2, and 3. So there's a dozen or so art filters that I think just about every Olympus camera has. But the specific monochrome profiles, no. And I don't know if you can do highlight shadow adjustments and midtone. I don't know if you can add grain, strength like low, medium, high. And there's also a vignetting feature that you can do with the monochrome settings. So a lot of those things, you can do in workspace, but not directly in camera. So I'm going to sell my D600 with grip and Sigma 10 to 20, or my 10 and 20 Sigmas, along with the 24-85 VR to fund an EM1 and a 75 to 300. Wow, okay. Man, that's a good selection of lenses though for your Nikon. I love that 24-85. That's what I have here. This is a fabulous lens. I didn't take many pictures with it this morning though, because I was birding mostly. I might have gotten a couple. Yeah, I was doing a pano with it, and then I got some boats at the marina. Nothing. It's and a couple of landscape shots. I think this one will look good after I process it. you know, these are the ones I just took this morning. Oh, breaks my heart because I know how good the 24-85 is, but the M1, I would get the M1 Mark II, if not the M1 Mark I. Get the M1 Mark II. It's night and day difference between the two cameras with that 75-300. And let's see, Thomas is here. It is 25 Celsius. Yeah, I think that's about what it is here. Well, no, yeah, no, it's a little cooler. I don't know what Celsius it is, but we were in the 40s this morning when I went out, and we were closer to 60 when I got home. And Henning says, yeah, NASA took the D5 because it's radiation proofed, right? The Z9 will be next upcoming space camera for them. Okay. Darko said, I'd rather have the D850 than the D5, but my Z7 Mark II would be nice as well. But a Z7 Mark II, yeah. I would skip the Mark II. If you have the Z7 now, I'd skip the Mark II and just go right to the Z8 if you can. I know you don't want to spend that much on your camera gear. So yeah, you can stick with the Z7 for a while. I don't see any reason. And you have your, I think you have your D50, right? Which is your wildlife camera. So I don't know what purpose a Z8 would help you with. DSLR in space not as heavy. That's right. And Shakab says, recently bought the manual 60mm macro lens with the Godox TT350 and a Rainax DCR 250. Nice. Yeah, springtime here, wherever you are maybe too, but yeah, I got to get out and do some jumping spiders and stuff. I love those little jumping spiders. And they took GoPros, thought that was cool. I'm sure GoPros were every day in side shot. Yeah. It was interesting. And the shots, they took beautiful shots. And Bombastic says, do you or anyone else here have any tips or things to keep in mind when going out to do street photography as a beginner? I'm not thinking of logistics of it and a bit confused. Well, you know, street photography is pretty broad, right? And the question is, do you want to do like portrait street photography where you're taking pictures of people? Or do you want to do more environmental type street photography where you're taking pictures of the whole scene and what people are doing in the scene, not any individual person? And for me, it's more about more environmental type stuff, and that's a little bit less intrusive, and you probably get less resistance that way, right? At least here in the US, it's, you know, I've had so many bad experiences, so I've kind of avoided taking pictures of people. I try to do more environmental shots. And so to that end, yeah, you know, a good zoom, or if you're going to do a prime, like a 28mm or 35, those are very popular for street photography. And you want to find a composition. You know, always look for the light and shadows and geometry of the buildings or houses, or, you know, generally it's going to be buildings, right? If they're tall or short. Where I live, most of the buildings are, you know, only 3 or 4 stories, other than 1 or 2 central areas. There are taller buildings, but there's not many. But you want to find a composition first, and then you may want to stay in that spot and just watch what's going on, right? And see how people and cars move around at that section, that intersection, or in that space. And think about what looks good, like with respect to, you know, where are the people related to the other things in the scene? Do the people give you a sense of scale, right? So when the people are there, do the buildings look taller, right? Or Do the people look smaller? Try to, you get a sense of scale sometimes with people in the scene. Sometimes that's not important. Sometimes it's more about what are the people doing, right? So if it's like a market, a street market, you may want to get the interactions of customers and the vendors working together and making deals and the expressions on their faces. So there's a lot of things there to consider, but you need to take some time and see the behavior and the interactions and behavior and overall motion in the scene, and get a feel for when those things come together and make a really nice composition. So I'm very conscious of my corners. So and after a while I go back to the same place over and over again, and I try different things. But let me just give you an example. Oh, internet is slow. So, for example, I have this folder. I go down to Alexandria a lot. This is Eisenhower Avenue. So in this case, it's not really street photography, but I'm looking at the geometry of like this pier leading a line up to the sunrise, as well as the bridge. And then this scene here, like I looked at the geometry. These were I took these while I was out with Paul Crisp a couple of weeks ago when we did our photo walk together. But I'm looking at the shadow here coming down, and then the subject here. So this is kind of framing the subject, and I don't know, I just kind of like this composition, but I kind of waited for this opportunity. Here's another one where the planes were flying over on a regular basis over the Lincoln Memorial. So I just kind of waited until the plane was kind of top center with the Lincoln statue here. And then, just waiting for a person to run by kind of thing. This one I like. This is where I was talking about the people kind of give a sense of scale to the entire scene, right? By how small they are in the scene. And there was one other one I thought was a good example. Yeah, this one here, I just waited for the plane to go over. So I spent time composing all the elements in this scene, and I had to wait for all the cars to be out of the scene because I didn't want any cars. So this took, I only had to wait about 5-10 minutes, but I didn't just like snap a shot because a plane was flying over. I actually waited for the scene to come together, right? So I said, I'm going to wait for the cars to be gone. I'm going to wait for the plane to fly over, and I'm going to compose all the elements in the scene to kind of just capture everything that I wanted to capture. I like the lamppost here in this vertical fashion, and then, the plane front and center, and then the lines around here. So I don't know. I'm not articulating that too well, but you kind of get the idea. Because a lot of times people think of street photography, you're just walking around haphazardly and taking shots when a scene presents itself. But a lot of, that's, you can probably get away with. I can't shoot like that. I have to like stand there and observe the scene, get the composition I want for all of the buildings, streets, sidewalks, cars, and people. And you get a feel for that motion, right? Just like in wildlife, you get a feel for the birds are flying from that tree to that tree. They like that branch. You get a feel for what the birds are going to do, and you can anticipate the scene. And that's what you need to do in street photography, is kind of anticipate the scene. Now, if you're talking about people type photography, street portraiture, I'm not the right person to ask. The only other tip I can give you is when you're reviewing your photos, you're kind of scrolling through, right? Uh, don't point your camera up like this while you're reviewing your photos. People think you're taking their pictures, so when you're reviewing your photos, look down like this, right? So that people don't think you're taking their picture and stuff. Uh, and that's it. So, and don't try to be discreet or look like you're sneaking shots of people, right? Just own it. Just wear the camera out. You don't have to wear black. You can just dress normal, like a normal person, right? Don't try to be discreet, and just be out there as a person out there just taking pictures. Because if you go out and you look like you're trying to be sneaky about your photography, people are going to be, their radar goes up, right? Like, what is that guy doing? Why is he taking our picture? Whereas, if you're just out there as like a tourist or, just out enjoying the day like everyone else is and taking a few shots, nobody really cares, right? Okay. Nearly 50 people watching, only 20 likes. Oh, thanks. And John, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. Um, greatly appreciated. That's how my channel survives, at least financially, right? Is it helps cover costs of parking and all of that, and a little bit of my time. But thank you so much. Uh, let's see. And I only added the membership because so many people ask me, why don't you have a membership? And I'm like, okay, if you really want me to. I'm trying to migrate into doing more things for members only. Um, so I'm going to be doing some members only streams. I'm trying to put together some guests to come join me on the members only streams. Normally I was trying to do them on Mondays, member Monday type streams, right? But gosh, my I take care of my mom, and she has all these appointments all the time. So this tomorrow or this coming Monday, I'm not going to be able to do it. Um, and Eric, good to see you, and good to see you, X Meta. Um, and Henry says, I wonder what time this chat started. YouTube had me on hold since 10. I started about 10 minutes late, I think. I didn't realize the D5 had a 3 million ISO. Yeah, that is weird. And Rob, do you own every camera, and do you have any lottery numbers? No, I don't own any. I just get them over time, and I try to get a good deal. Early on, I only had a D750 and a few lenses, right? That was back in 2014, I think. I had a D7100 that broke, so I bought a D750. And then I bought the EM10 Mark II. And never looked back. That's I've been a Micro Four Thirds user since 2015 or 2016. Primarily Micro Four Thirds, and then I just take the other stuff out, for fun sometimes. But my workhorse, my everyday cameras are always something. Typically the OM3. And can you do a video comparing electronic and mechanical shutter in various situations? I was 99% quiet on EM5 III, but about a week ago I noticed that the mechanical shutter has better results not only in low light. I've never noticed. The only time I can think mechanical shutter would give you better results is when you're taking pictures of fast-moving objects and you want to minimize rolling shutter effects. So, yeah, if there are any differences, I haven't noticed it, and it would be so subtle. I don't know if it'd be worth making a video about. Uh, I just, because I shoot in electronic shutter 99% of the time. And when I shoot mechanical shutter, it's usually because of flash, trying to do sync speed with flash or something. And Darko says, there are recipes for all brands these days for film sims. Yes. And that is a project for me as well for Macro 60, AFS 2.8 with a Raynox macro filter, but here we are just too wet with snow still melting in central Canada. Ooh. Yeah. Anthony's lives up in Canada, I think, and yeah, he sends me pictures time to time of 7 feet of snow in his driveway. And the Great Manzini says, I have a great environmental pick of my life as mom in her kitchen, Noboka, totally in one of her environments. Yes. Darko says, with street frame the scene, first keeping in mind how the light looks, let people walk in and take the shots is one way to do it. Yeah. So, if you're looking at long shadows, I don't know if I have any like that. I'm just going to take a quick skim. Now, most of mine are architectural, and like this is a pretty good one where if it comes up, like I like this one. That's kind of an HDR shot. There's some with some people there. But there's I think I showed kind of the best examples already of what I was talking about. Like this one is pretty good. This gives a sense of scale, right? And this one here is, the people working in the diner, some customers here. That was a tough shot though. That was a quick snap. That was not like I could stand there for 10 minutes, right? And wait. Eric says, changed to this Death Wish vanilla Java coffee, great for photo walks. You'll be in fast forward. And also, when you get more advanced in street photography, you can try wide angle lens hip shots, holding the camera low and using electronic silent shutter. Yes. Yeah, because a lot of cameras have flip screens, right? Or tilt, and that can help you compose. Another trick, if you want to be a little more discreet, is use the phone app, right? You can have the camera kind of around your chest on a neck strap, and then just use your phone app to take pictures, and you can kind of walk around that way. And Jeffrey says, mirrorless caught me because I could put the EVF in the monochrome with mods, filters, curves, and camera and see what landscape and scene to identify interesting composition. Yes. So, yeah, what you see is what you get in an EVF, right? I used to like rotating the color wheel for the red, green, blue filters. You can adjust that on the Pen F and the OM3 and get quite different contrast based on how you adjust that filter in camera. And Rob says, I enjoyed those DC photos a few weeks ago. Really good composition. Oh, thanks. And please don't go down the members only path like Robin Wong. Okay. Well, I don't know exactly what Robin does for his members, to be honest. But okay, I'll give that some thought. On the one hand, people are paying every month. I'd like to do something a little extra, but as it is, I'm already giving 110%, right? Let's see, where is the Rob Trek merch shop? Trek camera straps. Oh, no. I don't have any of that stuff. And Tom says, same advice I was going to add about street. Don't be a creeper if you're taking photos of people. You have to be willing to talk to people if you want to take their picture. Yes. I think that's what Robin does. He talks to them a little bit first. And a lot of street photographers do that. They go up and they talk to people. Also, a small portfolio of your pictures to show what you do would help if someone questions what you're doing. I've seen people do that. But yeah, I'm not really a street photographer, so I couldn't give much feedback on how that works for me. And 99 cents a month and all the good info is a reason. Rob Trick is the only membership I have. Oh, thanks. Relaxing, educational, and nice and calm talk. Thank you. Chat display has hung. Oh, it has. Let me deactivate it. I don't know why it stopped moving. Let me try and reset it. I don't know if this is going to work or not. If I do this, then okay, hopefully that works. 99 cents is so worth the subscription. Oh, thank you. And there are no image quality difference between electronic and mechanical shutter for an Olympus or home system camera. It does for Fujifilm because it's 14-bit RAW for mechanical and 12-bit for electronic. Yes. Yeah, I've seen that there are some differences sometimes, exactly like what TL is talking about. And Hiker Dude says, hi Rob, maybe I missed something, but have you discontinued your Tuesday shopping live streams? No, I just couldn't do it last week. So I only missed 1 week. I missed Easter and then I missed Tuesday. I just I had to put out that video for the 8100 Pro 2 showing the 2-light setup. I had to get that out first. And I just didn't have time to do a stream. That, and my mom had a lot of appointments last week. And Adam says, we want the Rob Trek Matrix style shirt with Rob and sunglasses, black and white shirt. Then we need to get a slogan for him. Oh man, it's not necessary. It's all good. Yes, that worked. Okay, good. So let me share a few images and talk about these a little bit. Let's see. I think I left off at the last stream when I was doing the oh, come on. Was the Civil War type shots. So this was taken with Paul on our photo walk that morning. This is actually, I believe, yeah, this is an HDR shot. So I bracketed and then I used Nik HDR effects, or one of the Nik collection things to make this image. I kind of like this, the little bit of a ripple here caused by whatever ducks or geese are in the water. I thought that was just a little bit different than some of the other ones I've taken where it's just a sheet of glass, right? And then of course the colors are very cinematic, this teal and orange. But yeah, I kind of like it. And This shot I'm not happy with, but it's okay. I have some ideas for this shot that I want to do later. I'm thinking if I can get a shot where I'm standing here and having my reflection of my face in the scene together with the soldiers here, that would be kind of more interesting rather than just the soldiers here etched into the stone. Have my reflection in here. So yeah, I'm gonna go back and try and do that next time I'm in DC. And then there's Paul, and there's me. There's my OM3, there's Paul. And then that's the Jefferson Memorial behind us, and his timing was perfect. We had cherry blossoms out. Yeah, that was a good time. It's good to meet Paul. And then this is another angle of the cherry blossoms, the Washington Monument here at sunrise. Of course, I was using my 8mm fisheye, and I tried to frame these people sitting along the front. I thought that was a nice compliment. So again, going back to street, I guess this is a street shot, right? Where I'm incorporating people to, kind of lead you into the frame and then coming back around here to the sunrise. This is in DC also. They had some tulips sitting around. You can see the Washington Monument right here. And this is the 8mm fisheye. So I just kind of put the camera down on the ground and pointed it up and got this shot. So this came out pretty nice. And I really like the processing I did on this one. And yeah, Lincoln Memorial indoor, 8mm fisheye again. And this is a good street shot. Again, just kind of waiting for these people to, because there's a lot of bikers in DC. And you just kind of wait for them to come around and you frame the shot, right? I didn't do a great job framing this, but, I wanted to stand a little bit more to the right so I could get a little bit more parallel line here of the path. But the bikers had to come by me right there, so I couldn't get quite centered as I wanted to. But I still got the shot, and I like this shot here a lot. Yeah, good shot of the Jefferson Memorial. And this is twilight, so before the sunrise. And this one I just talked about with the plane flying over. And this came out really good. What lens was this? This was the, this was the 14-42 kit lens. So I brought the kit lens instead of my 12-45, but the kit lens does an amazing job. And I had a polarizer on it to kind of give me a little bit more contrast. But, this kit lens is very, very sharp. As you can see, I can get really, really good detail. You can read all of the states and the dates underneath them, the year underneath them. So I wonder if I can read the lettering in here. Yeah, you can even read this almost. In this temple, the hearts and whom, yep, you can read all of that. So this came out pretty good. Just from a technical standpoint. And there's the other street shot. This one I liked. I didn't like the person's pose, if you want to call it that. But I did like this little seagull kind of flying in the scene. There's one here and one here, but I like this one. So I thought that kind of, this image kind of worked just for that. Yeah, I talked about this one and this one. This is one of the tulips that I saw. And now this is getting into another week where I want to take pictures of flowers and bluebells. And I was using the 60 macro in this case. So these came out pretty good. I don't know what kind of flowers these are, but I think this is a milkweed or something. But this came out pretty good. Again, 60mm macro. 60 macro. This is some fly. But anyhow, before we get too much further, let me go back to the chat section. For candid street shots, you get natural expressions. Otherwise, I have found you get weird or unnatural looks and it becomes street portraits. Yes. Like I said, I'm not the right person to ask about doing people shots on street. Yes, you can tell the difference on a 4K monitor. I have both systems and I only use mechanical on my XT3. Okay. Love the XT3, man. I would love to have one. I mean, I could go buy one, but I just don't need another camera right now. And the main difference is some dynamic range, limitations in the highlights. Okay. And those are some great shots. Thank you. And Henning says, maybe I'm different. I don't pixel peep and I don't care about this kind of image perfection. For me, photos are about the feeling. Yeah, so, you know, there's two ways. There's two, I wouldn't say there's two kinds of people, but you know, a lot of people really love the gear and the technical capabilities of the gear, what it can do, and enjoy that just as much as taking a picture, taking a good picture, right? And you know, I kind of go back and forth. There are days when I go out and I'm just trying to get a technically good image and trying to understand what are the limits of my gear, how much dynamic range can I get, and then we have those conversations, right, on the technical side. But then we shift now that we have a good idea of what our camera and gear are capable of. Then we go out and we try to work on our photography and maximizing the image quality for the compositions we want to get. So they're all kind of related and tied together, but for a lot of people, you know, any camera is good enough. They care only about the photography itself and want to capture the moment, capture a scene, capture a composition, you know. They enjoy the photography part of it and they're not too concerned about the gear. You know, they need, maybe they want competent equipment, right? They just need something that will do what they want it to do to create the vision that they have. But they don't necessarily need to worry about, you know, am I going to shoot mechanical shutter or silent shutter? You know, they're like, I just want to take a picture, right? You know, I want to be able to control the shutter speed or the aperture to create my composition. And I think both ways, you know, are fine. You know, whatever makes you happy. I like to talk about both, and I like to see what the limits of my gear is. I like the nuances in the technology between the different camera bodies that I have, and I like to explore those. But then I also like the photography and building up my skill set with in terms of, you know, composition, storytelling, all of those things. So I do a little bit of, you know, I'm kind of on both sides. If there are two sides, there's more than two sides though, right? And do you still have 4/3 equipment? I do. I have a, I have my E600 and the 520. I have a couple of them. I almost took it out yesterday. My 500 is down in here somewhere, but I think my 600 is right here. Yeah. This is a great little camera, this E620. And I have the 50 macro on here. This is an f2, I believe. Yeah. It's noisy, this lens, but this is a great combination. And the E620 is pretty much a modern camera, right? Fully articulating screen, live view, has everything I need. I haven't played with this in a while, and I like that it uses the same battery as you know, my EM10 did. So I have a lot of batteries for it, and uses a standard, I'm sorry, it does not. Use these little XD cards, which I have. I have one of those, and compact flash. So this is a great little camera. I have the 500, I forget which one, that has the CCD sensor in it. This has the CMOS sensor in it. I have the CCD version, and I really like that camera too, and the images I get from that. So I should probably, maybe I'll take this out later today. Kind of got me interested again. I wanted to do some Nikon stuff today because of the Artemis thing, but did I lose sound? It looks like I still have sound. Okay. And Darko says the kit lens I have for the Z52 being the 50 and the 250 and the 16 to 50 are extremely sharp for the price, and in dusk still function well worth. Yes. The Z50 is a nice little camera. The sensor in that is great. The 20 megapixel APS-C. Fantastic sensor. And Thomas says, what do you suggest for a wide angle micro four thirds prime, the 7 to 12? Or I think you meant the 7 to 14. Manual focus okay, but affordable price, less than $400 important. Oh, okay. Well, you can get a used Panasonic 7 to 14 f4. That's an excellent lens. Very compact, small. You can typically find those for about $400. And it's autofocus. Let me take a quick look. Yeah, so like they have one in Adorama right now, MPB 389. This is the one I'd recommend. It has kind of a purple flaring issue. This one's heavy use. Don't buy that one. But here's one from MPB, right? Excellent condition, 389. And I'm sure they have some in good condition for less. Oh, well, that's the best one. That's what I would do. Okay. And Eric says, damn, now I'm missing my OM1 with 90 macro. What happened to your OM1 and 90 macro? Did you sell that off? Love my Leica, but looking at your macro shots make me love it less. I definitely love my Ricoh GR3X. That has been my best purchase. Yeah, a lot of people like that camera. It's not for me. I mean, I have a TG5 if I want something pocketable. And my Deluxe 8. I really like my Leica Deluxe 8. And my LX100 Mark II. Yeah, those are great. On a side note, I use the iMac and it runs free current Affinity Suite with 4 gigs of RAM. I was surprised. Okay. Agree with you, Rob. The X-T3 is an amazing camera. I use it for my paid jobs because clients demand excellent. I use my EM5 II for casual use. Yeah. So the X-T3, so the size, weight, the looks, the ergonomics, you know, for its size, it's a really nice camera. Cosmetically, it looks great. It actually fits pretty well in the hand. You know, I have small hands though. And but what to me, what's really stand out about that camera is the 26 megapixel sensor in it. That sensor, I had it when I had my XT30, and I was so amazed by the quality of that sensor and the images that I got from it. I just did not like the XT30, but I do like the XT3. So now that I have a bunch of lenses, because I have an XH2, right? Now that I have a bunch of lenses for my XH2, I'm tempted to get an XT3 because I've seen them for $700-800 because I really like that 26 megapixel sensor in that X-T3. Not that the X-H2 doesn't take great pictures, and the lenses for Fuji are really good too, but something about that X-T3 sensor, the 26 megapixel sensor from Fujifilm, just really, I really liked. And the Sigma 500 f5.6 for Micro Four Thirds would like to see one. So that would be nice if OM Systems could license that from Sigma and not double the price. That would be nice. I would probably get one. You know, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, what's the 150 to 400 right now is $8,000, give or take. If they can make the 500 f5.6 for less than 5,000, because I think it sells on other mounts for about 3,000 or 4,000, right? Let me see. Yeah, so this lens, right? $3,300. So, you know, if OM System makes it, you know, it's going to be closer to 5,000, but I would probably get it. Well, that's a lot of money though. Whew. Let's say I would definitely want it, just like you. I would want it. I don't know if I could get it though. It's so expensive. I just don't have that kind of scratch. And Darko says, I use my D80 with 35 in monochrome mode as my simulated film CCD look for street because film is too expensive. Yep. I have a D80 somewhere. It's probably on the shelf behind me. That's a good little camera. I wonder if people will try to downgrade their X-T3 and up firmware. I don't know. I don't know where the firmware is on the X-T3, if it's been a rocky road or not. Had the X-T3, but Fuji AF seemingly let me down too many times, so I got the Z50, then subsequently the Z52, and never looked back. Particularly for wildlife, I think the autofocus is really good on the Z52. I haven't tried Fuji for wildlife, though. And the Gray Vanzini says, I have the X-T30, great pics, but a pinch slow on the focusing. Okay. Yep, the Z52 is great, but I still keep coming back to the OM5s. Yeah, the OM5 is amazing. I'm still tempted to trade my EM5 III to get the sand beige OM5 Mark II. I want to do that, but when I got a chance to go get it, they were sold out at my local camera store. So B&H, let me see if B&H has one in stock. Out of stock on eBay. They have them in Japan, but it's expensive. Yeah, it's out of stock everywhere. I should have bought it just outright without a trade-in. But I said, you know, let me get my EM5 III and go down there. And by the time I made up my mind, they were sold out. I wish Sigma would make a 17 to 40 1.8 like the Sony and Fuji versions. Oh, that's an interesting. I hadn't seen a 17 to 140 1.8. Oh, wow. 17's a little bit tight. I mean, it's like a 35 equivalent, right? But what is the size of this thing? This is 500 grams, a little bit on the heavy side, but it's a 1.8. 67 front. That would be a nice, so what's that equivalent? 35 to 80? It's a little tight, but it'd be a really good portrait lens, right? Because you could do full body portraits, sitting down portraits and headshots, all with one lens. And it would be a good street lens too. A little bit on the heavy side though. A little bit big. Well, what's the diameter? 72 millimeters. 73. So it's probably about the same size, a little smaller than a 12 to 100. But that would be a great street lens, right? You could do a lot of low light stuff. Yeah, I assume. Yep. And Eric says, yeah, I think when I get my summer bonus, I'll do OM3 with a 90, maybe the 75 too, as they were my two favorite lenses for the OM. Wife is going to be like, again, what's it's for the fox and flowers though? Yeah. Yeah, the OM3, man. I love my OM3, and I finally have, I've been taking my OM1 out for birding, and this is the Mark 1. I finally have, I think I'm about 90% there to having all of my bird settings and buttons configured. That I might do a video on that, do an updated video on my bird settings, because I've changed a little bit since my last birds in flight settings. If you watch my old bird in flight video, you know those settings work perfectly fine, but I've kind of tweaked it. I might have to call this bird settings for the more advanced user, because my skill set has improved since I've made that video. My workflow is a little bit different now than it was before. So, because now I'm doing things like using the autofocus limiter and using the highlight shadow metering, things I learned from Lee, and a lot of little tweaks here and there. So I'm going to go out some more. I mean, it's springtime, so lots of opportunities. I'm going to go out a little more because I found a couple of things I want to change from the settings that I thought were perfect. When I went out in the field today, they weren't so perfect. Close, but not quite. Okay. Still looking for a blind for birds. Totally different psychology in birding, just sitting and waiting. Yes. For lens ideas, there are some new fast zoom ranges that have become popular over the past few years. The 50 to 150 f2, the 35 to 150, 2 to 2.8. If OM had something in the 15 to 75 f2 or 1.8 would be interesting. Yes, a fast, shorter, but wider zoom range. Like we have the 12 to 100 f4, which is an amazing lens. And then the next one we have is the 12 to 45. But if they could come out with something that was like, say, 15 to 75, that was a 2.8. Because I think an f2 or 1.8 would be really a bit much. Because remember, the Micro Four Thirds sensor, 20 megapixels, a lot of people say it's not enough, but you have to remember the pixel pitch is very, very small on Micro Four Thirds 20 megapixels. So you have to make a lens that is optically superior, right? It has to be really good. And there's an inverse relationship between the size of a lens and the quality of the lens. Hold on. Ellie is... I'm gonna close the door and see if that mitigates some of the barking sound. So, you know, they could probably make a lens 15 to 75 f2, but, you know, it may not have the quality or the resolution to maximize the 20 megapixel sensor. So, unlike the 12 to 100 f4, I mean, that's a big lens for what it is, but the quality is unquestionable. And that's, you know, and they had to make it a big lens to achieve that quality. So I don't know. I would, yeah, it'd be nice if they come out with it though. I mean, since we're talking hypotheticals, my only concern would be the size of 15 to 75. I think the 17 to 40 might be a good lens to try for micro four thirds. Is that an APS-C lens? It's the, yeah, it's a DC, so it's an APS-C lens. That would be a good lens, I think. A good start. But a 15 to 50, if they can make a 15 to 50 f2, or I would be happy with, well, we have a 12 to 40 2.8 already. So 15 to 75, yeah. Those are some interesting ideas though. But the OM3 can do same as OM1, right? Otherwise I'll go OM1. In reference to if that was while I was talking about my birding stuff, yeah, the two cameras are capable birding cameras, but the OM1 has more buttons. So switching between different custom modes is easier. It's just a more ergonomic camera is all. Sorry. So it's nothing, but yeah, I'll do a birding video. Well, I'll include the OM3 in my birding video. The settings are almost identical, but the workflow is a little different on the OM3 because it doesn't have as many buttons. And it's not as ergonomic. I will say though, the OM3 does seem to have better battery life than my OM1. I don't know why. Because I'm down to 28% on my OM1, and I was only out a couple hours. I don't recall being out with my OM3 and having that problem where my battery's almost done in a few hours when I'm using my OM3. So there's that. I'm gonna have to take out my OM3. It's gonna take me a little while to kind of go out with both cameras. You know, go out with the OM3 one day, then go out with the OM1 and shoot, right? On different days, because the other thing, the OM3, now mind you, I have the OM1 Mark 1. The other thing the OM3 seems to be a little better at is when it's focusing on a bird that's kind of surrounded by branches. The OM1, it's tough sometimes. Like I had an osprey surrounded by branches, and I couldn't get it to focus on the osprey in between these branches. Even though the bird detect was on, and even though I selected small point to kind of go in between, I had bird detect on. So this is one of the tweaks I'm trying to make, is have a button to turn off the bird detect, because on the OM1 Mark 1, it constantly tried to focus on the branches and not the bird itself, even though the bird box was on. with the eye box. It just would not focus on him. So I got to keep going and trying, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But the OM3, I don't recall having that issue. You know, sometimes it would focus on a branch, but most of the time it would go right to the bird. And when it had the bird in the box. But the OM1 Mark I, I'm finding that a little bit frustrating right now. Okay, I'll pull up the images from this morning in a second. Let me just go back to this. Well, all our best lenses are diffraction limited by 20 megapixel sensor. All the pro lenses can outperform the sensor's limitations. Yes. And Whiplash says, I see very little difference in the quality of the 25 G9 Mark II and the OM1. It's very subtle. I mean, you have to pixel peep, at least I do, to see the difference. And I'm sure under very controlled conditions, you could get better resolution out of the G9 Mark II, right, consistently. But if you're just out, you know, everyday camera kind of person, yeah, it's not gonna be much difference, right, in practice. And is Viltrox still in legal hot water with Nikon, and like Canon, will Nikon close their mount to third-party makers? Well, Nikon, I don't think Nikon will close it. They just want to get paid royalties or something, right? Unlike Canon, I think they're completely closed off. Wow. Somebody's at my front door. Hold on. I'll be right back. Let's take a 1-minute break, okay? Sorry. All right, sorry about that. Okay, we're back. So I was comparing the 15 to 75, 35 to 150, and 50 to 150 lens on my Sony for low light action. It would have been pro level sharpness though, and likely a bit heavy and not cheap. Yes. And Jeffrey says the OM3 doesn't have the same EVF, so it uses less battery. That's probably, yeah, that's kind of where my mind went. I was like, maybe it's because the EVF is lower res. And Tom says, strange, I shot 3,000 pictures with my OM1 the other day and still had 90% battery. Maybe you need a new battery. Well, I use the same I kind of rotate the batteries between the OM3 and the OM1. So I was thinking that though, because my batteries are 4 years old for the OM1. I have two OM1 batteries when I bought the camera. And the OM3 battery, let me see what battery I used in there this morning. Yeah, I used one of the original 4-year-old batteries with it. It could be. It could be. I'm going to have to try and put my brand new OM3 battery in here and see if that helps. That was the other thought, was the EVF and the battery's 4 years old. And maybe the OM3's AF being the same as the OM1 Mark II has slight advantage over the OM1. Possibly. I'm going to have to try put the OM3 in the same conditions and see. But anyway, I got 2,600 images this morning. Yeah, beautiful starling here. And these aren't processed at all. These are just the raws. I turned around and there was an osprey. I missed them though. See, it focused on the osprey here. You know, between the trees, just fine. But let me see. And then I turned around and there was some ducks flying. These are pretty good. These all need some processing though. Let's see. The osprey flying back to his nest. I think he was carrying a fish. Oh no, he's flying towards me. All right, hold on. Not doing yeah, it's doing a really good job with focus though. Let's see. And then he got out of frame, and then I caught him again up here. Really, really good focus on that guy. But this is heavily backlit. I mean, the sun was behind him. So I might get some nice glow here. But if I process this a little bit, I think I can get a decent image out of this. But yeah, heavily backlit, so a little bit of haze in there too. And then this was a seagull. I really love this seagull. I don't see this one too often. The one that has like this black around his eye and bright orange beak. It's just too bad it was all backlit here. I think this is a starling, yeah, making a nest. And there's the osprey. This is the other one. I think this might be the female one guarding the nest. And here I was able to get in between the branches okay. But like a lot of times it would focus on the branches around here and not the bird. I was really struggling sometimes. I just don't see any good examples. There was a Canadian geese or Canada goose here. Little mallard sleeping on the deck. And then I tried to get some in flight. This is, oh, this is the goldfinch. Hopefully I got a good shot of this. That's okay. My shutter speed is, oh, 1/2000th. So too much motion blur. I really need to be at 1/4000th for this kind of shot. And let's see. Let me star that one. I'm going to process the heck out of that one. These birds are so small and so fast. This one, he's kind of behind the branch. It's focusing pretty well here. I think it focused on the stick and not the bird, but that's understandable. That's a terrible shot. This was a cardinal taken off. Didn't get a very good shot there. And a butt shot of the osprey. He's eating this fish here, but I got a good shot of him later. What's that? That's that same seagull flying. And then I tried to get this seagull, caught a fish, but it's a butt shot. I was too slow. Then here's the osprey. He turned around. Looks like he didn't like the taste of that fish. Let me see. These are a little better, these shots here. But you see how he's kind of behind this stick? It kept focusing on this stick. So I was having a problem. I tend not to push the shutter button when I don't have focus. But let me go down. This is a little better shot. I got some, yeah, this is when he's looking right at me. So if I process this a little bit, this is going to be an amazing image here. I just need to brighten up the eye over here a little bit. But yeah, that's a good shot there. Lots of good detail, right? Maybe just do a little shadow, a little bit of push in the shadows here. And there you go, and a crop. And that's ready to post. And I did some HDR shots down here. I think, no, that's not it. There's a robin. This is a good shot of the robin. Oh, out of focus. See, it focused on the stick here. But I think I had focus on him earlier. Yeah, I had good focus here. Good focus here. Then he turned around and took off. And I lost it. Dang it. I got another shot of them. Oh, here's where I did some bracketing. So I'm going to work on this. I don't think I need to bracket it though. That first shot where I just edited looked pretty good. So I may not even need to use these. But I think these three here, if I do that and then HDR, come back to that later. I had a good shot of a goldfinch. Oh, there's a sparrow. I tried to get him taken off too. Where's my shutter speed? Damn it, 1/2000. I gotta watch my shutter speed. That's just not fast enough. Yeah, too slow. This is a good shot of the robin taken off. Yeah, that's a good one. I bet this'll clean up nicely. and then just crop it a bit, and I think we're good. You know, I was using Pro Capture, of course. Just a little bit of a push in the shadows. And maybe just a hair, a little bit more push on the noise reduction. Anyway, that's a pretty decent shot there of a robin. I thought I had one more good shot down here. What's this? This is, yeah, this is another good shot of the robin. He's a little bit dark here in the front. But there were some goldfinches in here. There was a whole flock, just a whole flock. Oh, this is a good shot. This is a little tree swallow, or not a tree swallow, but I'm pretty sure that's a swallow of some kind. That's going to be a good shot. I like this. That's, he's out of frame. They're too fast. When they take off, I can only track them for so long and then I lose them. It's another one. That's a pretty good shot there. Oh, I like this one too. This has a little more light on the face. So we can do that. And then just crop it a little bit. Oops. I know you guys didn't come here to watch me edit. So I'll just end with this one. We'll do that. And then add a little bit of light in the front. And that's ready to go. That can't see, I had my shutter speed at 1/4000th here, so that's a good shot. Anyway, Canon just doesn't interest me anymore. I like Canon. I like Canon lenses, or Canon cameras. I have a Canon R8 that I really like. I don't use it at all, but I've been meaning to take it out. I mean, I've used it for an event that I had together with my OM3. But Canon makes really nice cameras. I just don't see, I mean, the R6 Mark III is really nice. But man, that thing is what, $2,800? It's kind of expensive. Yeah, Canon does allow some APS-C lenses from Sigma, I believe. And Tom says, is a picture that you put up on break on homage to Peter Sellers. Oh, no, it wasn't. I wasn't even thinking of Dr. Strangelove at all. That I was just wearing that particular coat and I grabbed a scarf and sunglasses and took a picture. I wasn't trying to go for any particular look, but a lot of people have said that about Dr. Strangelove. And Darko says the 45 megapixel Z7 to 20 megapixel Z50, only if you 300% view and street shooter do you notice the difference? Yes. Yeah, for most shots, you know, there's technical differences, and if you pixel peep, you will get better resolution, but like someone was saying earlier, really it's the photography that matters, not so much the gear that you use, right? Definitely a shirt of the Trek Matrix shot. Okay. Which Matrix shot are you talking about? Let me see. I don't know why anybody would want a picture of me on a t-shirt. I don't get it. And Jeffrey says, do you have a way to see your focus points? I use plugin in Lightroom to show me the focus points, and it's useful for studying sequential shots like these. No, not in DxO Photolab. I'd have to take it into OM Workspace if I wanted to see the focus point. Because you can do it in OM Workspace. So if you just want to use OM Workspace to analyze your photos, you can do it that way. I think the SG was turn. Not sure what you're referring to. Just going down, you guys. Rob, what is your advice for shooting through glass? Use a polarizer. That's the best way. If you can get right up to the glass, they sell these lens hoods that are giant like funnels, right? They're rubberized lens hoods. That's another way. I don't know if you've seen those before. Let me see. This thing. You just basically put this up against the glass. That'll get rid of all reflections. If you're right up on the glass and you want to shoot through it, that's the best way. Otherwise, a polarizer is the way to go. And Birds in Flight with Shadows bump looks great. Yeah, that came out pretty good. Have you ever tried ISO bracketing? It doesn't have to take more than one shot. Just stores over under, and you can compare or pick sky for under and bird and overexposed. I've never tried that. I'll try it. I've never tried it, but that's an interesting way to, I've never tried it. And Rob, can you do strictly a wildlife images live editing stream in 2026? I could. It'd probably be better to do a video and a live stream. But okay, I can do that. I've done a video on how I edit birds, but yeah, I've already done a video on how I edit birds. I don't think I've changed much other than the software is newer. So it might be, the workflow might be different. The new Canon R7 Mark II should be interesting. Yes, definitely. Canon makes nice cameras. They've never appealed to me aesthetically. They're just so boring looking. But having used my R8, I've had that camera a little over a year now. Maybe two. It's been 2 years, I think. I really like the output that I got from it. And you know, I have the Canon R8 with the 50mm f1.8. That's a nice little package. It feels really good in the hand. It's very ergonomic. Canon cameras are about the most comfortable holding cameras I've ever had. You know, I'd say the EM1 Mark III was the most comfortable camera I've ever held. The Canon R8 is, I would say, tied, right, for that. And that's it. You know, the OM1 is not bad. It's not as good as those other two. But yeah, the Canon R8 and the EM1 Mark III, the two most comfortable cameras in my hand. But I have smaller hands, right? So everybody's different. Only thing I can identify Canon to is wedding photographer. Yep, it's very popular. Yeah, where I'm sitting like Morpheus with the sunglasses. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. This one, right? This image. This I think I took with my TG5, and I just used one flash over the top of my head, I think. I don't remember exactly. Canon seems too globular these days. Yeah. It is just kind of a blob. They're not very aesthetically good-looking cameras. And the images and AF from my R6 Mark II are really impressive with the 100 to 500. Yeah, so I was thinking about, you know, because my R8 will do 40 frames per second, I believe, and has pre-capture. I was thinking about getting the 800 millimeter f11 and seeing what I can do with that, because I can find those used for about 700 bucks, and it might be fun to try, you know. Let's see. Well, I'm all caught up here. So what I can do, we can take a little break here. Not a break, but like look at some photos. I'm processing right now this eagle shot, or I'm sorry, osprey shot here with HDR. So I really like, I have this, I like this particular profile. There's another one I really like. It's not the dramatic one. Where is it? I like Sinister. And I like I need to put stars next to these ones that I like. Where's, how do you do that? Natural bright. Anyway, this is really good. I mean, look at, whoops, look at the detail that I can get. It's just amazing. Okay, where's some other photos? Some flower photos I did. I really like this one. This is with the 8mm fisheye lens, and you know, I just put the fisheye lens down. The 8mm fisheye lens has a really good close focusing distance, and I was shooting at let's see, what is this? This is at f18, so I got the starburst. Of course, it wasn't until I got home I saw all these spots and how dirty the front element of my lens was. I got to remember to clean my fisheye lens a little bit more often. I'm really good about cleaning my 7 to 14 because I use that for work. But this lens here, I just forget to clean the front element sometimes. So there's that. And then I thought this shot came out pretty good. And then I wanted to, this is just a pop art filter. So this is a straight out of camera JPEG, and I really like how this came out. That's with the 60mm macro lens. But I did a lot of fisheye stuff. I like this shot here. Horizon's a little crooked, but I like this shot. And let me explain this one a little bit. So the 8mm fisheye lens is, you know, the fisheye Pro, I put the lens inside the flower, and I pointed the camera up a little bit, and I got this shot. And I think this is at this is at f18 also. But I really, really like this shot. I've never done a shot like this before. And I love, you know, super wide angle lenses. So this, I just love how that came out. Another shot that was kind of interesting was this one. only to me. He caught a little worm here, whatever that is, or caterpillar. And this is the first time I've ever captured this bird. This is a what do you call it? A gnat catcher. The gnat catcher is a new bird, and it's really tiny. This thing is probably only about 3 inches in length, right? Which is roughly 8 centimeters. So this is a tiny, tiny bird. And I got, this is in my backyard. I thought this was just kind of cute when he was taking a bath. And nothing else here. This was a good shot of a red-winged blackbird taken off. You know, pro capture. This came out pretty good. And here's a black and white version of one of the shots. It's a yellow tulip, but I really like how this came out. This one is at f/16. But it's amazing how close you can focus with the fisheye lens. And you know, this 8mm fisheye lens also, Lincoln Memorial. These shots here, actually I'm trying to develop a preset for OM work. I'm sorry, a preset for whatchamacallit, DxO Photo Lab for high-res shot. So this is the handheld high-res shot, 50 megapixels. And this is the workspace image here on the left. This is the DxO. And I'm trying to, I think I've got it. But workspace almost always gave me a better image with the high-res shot files. But I think I've got it now. I've got tweaks to my Photolab settings that I can get a better shot out of, you know, DxO now than I can with workspace. Because it was kind of it's always been a problem where, or you know, OM Workspace always gave me a better image when I was processing the high-res shot files. And I could not duplicate it in Photolab easily. But now I think I finally got, I'm still working on it. But once I get that preset done and a couple other presets, I'm going to put them out for you guys to have. You know, I'm just going to give them away when I have them done. And Whiplash says, I had the 800 f/11 and I did return it. Okay. I don't know. I've seen images from it. I thought they were pretty good. Why did you return it? Was it because it didn't zoom, or you thought it was too soft, or was it just too dark? Because f/11 is a little rough, right? That's a full, what? I'm at 5.6 now, so I'd be at 8.11. Yeah, I'd be 2 stops darker than I am already. That would be a problem. But then I'll be using a full frame 24 megapixel sensor, so I can kind of get the 2 stops back that way in processing. So Rob, it's been a blast. Wife asked me to do errands. Have a great week. Okay, you have a good week too. Thank you. The flower colors are brilliant. Yeah, they came out really good. And I need to use my 8mm more. Yes. Is that a preset you made? What are you referring to? Which image? The art filter one of the 3 tulips is just straight out of camera. The rest of those I just processed. I didn't use a preset. Alexa, stop. And then the high-res shot mode, yeah, that's a preset I'm working on, if that's your question. And I have been using other presets for all of the other stuff. It is a preset I made, and I did give that away already. It's somewhere on my community post, but I'm going to put a tab on my website where you can download all of the presets. I hardly use my website, but that's a good a place as any to put all of my presets for Photolab. So once I get them, once I organize them in a way that makes sense, that people can then you can download them and use them. And Jeffrey says, my 8mm goes with me everywhere. I use it for remote close-ups of birds coming and going, macro architecture, nightscape. Yeah, it does everything. It's a great lens. I mean, it's an f1.8. It's super wide and really, really sharp corner to corner. It's such a good lens. Waiting for some sun to get the 60 macro out and about. Yep, you gotta use flash though with macro. That's the best way to do it. DxO Photo Lab high res. Yeah, it's a preset I'm working on. So, like I was saying, anytime I process the high res shot mode files, OM Workspace gave me a better result. And I'm still struggling a bit, but I think I got it. I think I finally got it to where, but I'm gonna have to try it on a lot of different images. Because that image that I just showed you of the Jefferson Memorial, that was taken with the 40-150 kit lens on a bright day. So I'm gonna have to try it on some low light high res shot files that are like at ISO 1600. And I'm gonna have to try it on some other things and continue tweaking it to a point to where one preset will do probably 80%, 90% of the work to get you there, and then you have to continue tweaking to get it exactly how you would want it or to improve it. But I'll get there eventually. Now that I got, I think, all of my product review and other obligations kind of out of the way, I can spend a little more time going out in the field, practicing, doing some editing, and then making videos that are more tutorial based. Like I just did that one on a 2-light setup. I want to try and do more videos like that. You can change the name from Alexa to Echo. Computer, Ziggy, maybe a couple of others. No, I didn't know that. And Anthony says, apparently Chinese sensor maker has made 1-inch sensor that has 19 stops of dynamic range. That would be interesting. I wonder how they do that. That's a lot. 19 stops. And imagine how big the files would be for something like that. I hadn't seen that one. That's interesting. But yeah, Saner, I will, or Saneer, I'm sorry. Saner, or I'm sorry. I'm not sure I know how to pronounce your name there. But I will definitely put out a couple of presets on my website to get started. I'll try and do that this week. And then I develop more, because if I go to my photo lab, I've made a few. Like this is the high res one I'm working on. This is my default that I just use for everything. These are more related to when I use my like Sony or Canon camera, I want to crop it to APS-C, or if I want to crop it to 4:3, or I want to crop it square. I have some other presets that I use time to time, like this one. But this is just I forget what kind of swallow this is, but this is a swallow. I wish he had a stick or something in his mouth. I might have one of them. No, they're just flying around. Ooh, that's a good one. So I have a lot of editing to do today. Did I get one flying at me? Kind of. One of these, I tried to get a goldfinch. Yeah, this one here. He's eating these little seeds from, I forget what kind of tree this is. But one of these will be a good frame. One of these. But yeah, this is definitely one where it was struggling a bit to get focus. See that the guy is right here, but is focusing on these leaves around here. And it didn't recognize the goldfinch. This might be, did I get him taken off? That would be nice. I think I missed him. Yeah, I didn't get him taken off. It's another goldfinch. That might be the last one. Let me go all the way down. Did I get down here? Oh, no, there's another one. Yeah, I missed focus in between the sticks. These are tough shots. This one I tried to get him flying in between. But yeah, he didn't open up his wings. How about this one? This one, no, missed focus again. But there's not much, you know, he was a bit too far away. Let me see what's down here. Oh, this might be all right. Did I get him flying? No. See, it focused on the leaf here. I had him here. And then the next frame, it jumped up over here. And then I had trouble getting him back. And then he took off. So, yeah, that kind of sucks. But anyhow, all right. Okay, Sana. Okay, thank you. I will try to remember that. And what's the trade-off for 19 stops? Like I said, it's I don't know what the trade-off would be. Maybe all I can think of is maybe file size. You know, being able to process that much data at once. Swallows hunting in the air are the hardest to catch chasing insects so quick. Yeah, I do have one shot of a swallow with its mouth open and a mosquito like right here. That was a gold mine. It's not blurry. It just I had to crop in down to like it's almost like Minecraft. It's so pixelated because I had to crop in so much. He was so far away, but I did get one. Yeah, it's always a bit of a wonderland when the camera identifies a branch as a bird. This behavior produces thousands of bin pictures. Yeah, I know. Ugh, it's rough. But I mean, if you look at this frame, the bird is just taking up just a tiny bit, right? Like, how many pixels are actually on this bird? Like, if I were just to frame this bird, so not even 1 megapixel, like half a megapixel. And it's out of focus anyway. I thought I got one in focus, but I guess not. I'll probably have to delete all of these. And I don't know which manufacturer has developed a 19-stop at dynamic range sensor. I think the information came from Petapixel. Okay. I'll see if I can find it. Maybe we can talk about it next week a little, or I'm trying to think if I saw that though. It sounds familiar, but I just don't recall. It might be that I did read about a Starvis sensor, the Starvis 3 that they're talking about using in dash cams and security cameras. That I think that's what you're talking about. I did see that from Sony. And what was it? There's not much, yeah, that might be okay. But it was, yeah, it was a 1-inch sensor using the Starvis 3, I think. They call it Starvis. That's how they brand it. But the intentional uses for security and dash cams. So there might be a frame rate issue or rolling shutter issue. I don't know. I'd have to look at the specs, but you know, they don't use this sensor much outside of those two genres, right? Security cameras and dash cams. So I'm curious what the limitation is, because they've had this technology for a while, but they don't use it outside of those two areas much. I don't see it in consumer cameras. The future looks bright with sensors. I worry about how much. And the Goldfinch lobby paid OM to not let us capture them easily. I know, right? Goldfinches. There was a flock of them, and I missed a flock of cedar waxwings too. I was too late to the party on that one. They were just down the road a little bit. The birders were over. There was a bird group out there, you know, with their binoculars, and I missed that. But I'm sure I got one good goldfinch picture out of these 1,000 that I took. So I'm going to post that later. But why don't we call it here, guys? Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great conversation, a lot of fun. And I want you guys to have a good weekend, a good day. Try to do that every day. You'll have a good life. So eat healthy and exercise. I want to see you guys for a long time. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope to see you all again